Is it 8 o'clock? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We thank you so much for coming. I'm Debbie Crane. I am a member of the Savoyard Light Opera Company board and the producer for this shindig tonight. For over 50 years, SLOC has provided an opportunity for audiences, actors, musicians, and crew members to enjoy the works of Gerald and Sullivan and similar shows. We survived a name change years ago, a major move, and an unprecedented global pandemic, and we are determined to keep making music for another 50 years. And so we rely on the community support, so we thank you all for being here tonight. And a couple of housekeeping tips. Please note the exits behind you in case of an emergency. Also, in the 1950s, there were no cell phones, so please silence your cell phones, devices, whatever you may have. The church is selling some concessions out in the lobby during our intermission. And thank you for joining us tonight, and please enjoy our nod to the 1950s with our Miss Brooks. Thank you.
Is it 8 o'clock yet? Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. And Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair. And the Savoyard Light Opera Company, along with support from the Carlisle Cultural Council, bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Nancy Rodriguez. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, they say that March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. But our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, has an amendment to this ancient bromide.
Yes, this year, March and our beloved Principal Osgood Conklin both came in like lions. And last Wednesday morning, when he summoned me to his office, I could tell by the tone of his roar that he had gotten up on the wrong side of his cage. As I entered his office, however, I was thrown off guard somewhat by his bluff and hearty manner. In fact, his first two words to me were replete with camaraderie and affection.
Sit down!
Yes, sir.
Miss Brooks, I arrived at school this morning 15 minutes ahead of everyone else, as is my wont.
It certainly is.
And it certainly is what?
Your want. That is, getting here 15 minutes ahead of anyone else is an old want of yours. Yes, sir, that one want goes way back. And I've been working with you for almost 5 years. I guess I know as much about your different wants as any teacher in this school.
Oh, hush!
Sorry, sir.
As I passed through the hall, I noticed one of the classroom doors was ajar. It was your room, Miss Brooks. And as I reached in to close the door, I saw your blackboards.
They hadn't been stolen.
No, but they hadn't been erased either. You know very well, Miss Brooks, that it has long been a strict rule in this institution that nothing is to remain on the blackboards overnight.
Oh, I know that, sir. But some of the students must have made some notes after I left the room. You see, we have been studying the Shakespearean tragedies, and the class is taking to it with great enthusiasm.
Miss Brooks, I am quite certain the immortal bard did not pen the words that I saw on your blackboard.
What words, Mr. Conklin?
One line said, and I quote, "Old man Conklin is a bird brain."
Oh, that's impossible, sir. You misread the blackboard. What it probably said was, Old King Lear is a bird brain.
Old King Lear is a bird brain? Well, who would write a thing like that?
His daughters. They hated his guts. They were very mean to him.
Miss Brooks, I hold you responsible for the condition of your blackboard. And remember, it is from such petty beginnings that more dangerous, subversive activities can stem.
I'll have a loyalty check before class. Mr. Conklin, don't you think you're being unduly severe about a relatively minor transgression?
Severe, perhaps, but I challenge your use of the word unduly. After all, I am a man to whom this entire school looks to for leadership. As your leader, I must be firm, decisive, wielding my power with justice but authority.
Yes, sire. Sir. I know you're quite a stickler for discipline, Mr. Conklin, and all of us on the faculty try to cooperate. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar.
I don't want flies. I want teachers. I want teachers with a wholesome respect for the inspiring mottos on which I was brought up. Spare the rod and spoil the child. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And these others here in my office. Read the one on that wall, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir. Only the hands of the strong can hold the reins of leadership.
Now the one next to it.
Through power alone can you command respect.
How true that is.
There seems to be a motto missing, Mr. Conklin.
Which one?
Today, Madison High. Tomorrow, the world.
Oh, the janitor broke that one while he was dusting. Which brings me to another assignment I have for you this morning. I want you to see that my office is thoroughly cleaned out. I've asked my daughter Harriet to send in one of the boys to do the heavy work, and then, oh, good heavens, she'll probably send in that lame-brained boyfriend of hers, Walter Denton.
Oh, Walter isn't so bad, Mr. Conklin. In fact, compared to his pal, Stretch Snodgrass, his mentality is positively Einsteinian.
If only he wouldn't speak. That voice of his drives me insane.
It's just his age, Mr. Conklin. His voice is probably changing.
Well, it had better hurry. That boy sounds like a canary who has just caught a rancid batch of birdseed. Now, come in.
Salutations and top of the morning to you, Principal Conklin.
Now that you're here, Denton, I'll be leaving shortly. So pay attention and I'll tell you what I want done.
Yes, sir. Harriet told me you're anticipating the National Clean Up, Paint Up, Fix Up campaign, which starts every spring.
That is correct. I'm a great boy for getting a jump on the next fellow. Therefore, I want you to clean out all the old files you'll find in my closet. I haven't touched them since I took over this office from my predecessor, Mr. Darwell.
Oh, I remember Mr. Darwell. There were times when we all thought he was a real tyrant.
Oh, you did?
Dear old Mr. Darwell. Ha ha.
This file contains nothing but a bunch of antiquated records and the correspondence kept by Darwell for years. You, Denton, will take them all out and destroy them.
Yes, sir.
Burn them up!
To a cinder, sir.
Now I'm going on a tour of classroom inspection. I haven't cracked the whip around here in, let's see now, just how long has it been?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. I thought I remembered that.
Oh, quiet! I received an exceptionally large batch of mail this morning, Miss Brooks, and while I'm gone, I want you to open each and every letter, digest its contents, and if not of sufficient importance to demand my personal attention, tear it up.
I'll rip it to pieces, Mr. Conklin.
Crumple it. Destroy it.
I'll be merciless.
Hurl it in the basket.
I'll bash it with my bare fists.
I'm going now. Remember, let's get on the ball and stay there.
What am I, a seal?
Miss Brooks, he's in a pretty bad mood this morning, isn't he?
Even for him. But you'd better get busy cleaning out those files, Walter.
Yes, ma'am. They're right in this closet here. Gosh, what a bunch of junk. I'll never be able to sort this stuff alone. Will you give me a hand, Miss Brooks?
I'd like to, Walter, but I've got to go through the mail. Why don't you get Stretch Snodgrass to help you?
Oh, he's working up in the supply room this morning. He's supposed to be taking inventory before the clean up, fix up, paint up campaign starts this spring. Seems kind of early to me.
Me too. But Mr. Conklin's a great boy for getting a jump on the other fellow.
I know. I've seen him jump on some of the other fellows. Wait, poor old Stretch will be lost down there.
Maybe I'd better look in on him and see how he's doing.
I wish you would, Miss Brooks. He doesn't know how to take inventory.
He probably doesn't even know how to pronounce it. Stretch? Stretch Snodgrass?
Oh, hi, Miss Brooks.
how are things in the supply room, Stretch?
All right, I guess. But I really don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Didn't Mr. Conklin tell you what to do?
No, ma'am, not exactly. When I got to school this morning, his daughter Harriet handed me a memo from him which just said, go to the supply room and take inventory. So I got a problem, Miss Brooks.
Why?
I can't find no inventory no place. On top of that, Mr. Conklin just stopped by and bawled me out something awful.
Bawled you out? What were you doing?
Well, I wasn't doing nothing. I was just standing here like a stick.
Well, what did Mr. Conklin say to you?
He said, what's the idea of standing there like a stick? So I said, I ain't standing here like no stick. So then he said, who's your English teacher, boy? So right away I said, Miss Brooks is my English teacher. That's who.
That's me.
If he wasn't in such a bad mood, I would have told him what a boot I get out of taking English off you. Sometimes I think I'd like to stay in your class forever, Miss Brooks.
Sometimes I think you've got a very good chance. But Stretch, if you're not too busy at the moment, would you please run down to Mr. Conklin's office and help Walter Denton clean out some old files?
Oh, I'd be glad to help Walter out, Miss Brooks. But Mr. Conklin told me to go from here to the biology lab and tell Mr. Boynton to wash all the cages, pre-preparatory to painting them.
Painting?
Yes, ma'am. It seems there's some kind of campaign that starts in the spring.
I'm familiar with it, Stretch. If you'll join Walter in Mr. Conklin's office, I'll be happy to deliver your message to Mr. Boynton. Of course, before I go to the biology lab, I've got to start my own campaign. You know, clean up, fix up, paint up.
You mean your classroom, Miss Brooks?
Classroom, nothing. Me.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Nancy Rodriguez, will continue in just a moment. Colgate Dental Cream helps stop both tooth decay before it starts. 2 years research at a leading university using Colgate Dental Cream. Hundreds of case histories makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice history on tooth decay. Colgate Dental Cream has been proven to contain all the necessary ingredients, including an exclusive patented ingredient for effective daily dental care. Get Colgate Dental Cream today. Always use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay before it starts. We would also like to announce the arrival of a new family coming to Carlisle this fall. The Addams Family. The Savoyard Light Opera Company is excited to announce auditions on June 11th and 12th for this upcoming fall production. Please visit their website, www.savoyardlightopera.org, for more information. We appreciate the generous support of the Carlisle Cultural Council. Well, as our Miss Brooks headed for the biology lab, Stretch Snodgrass joined his pal Walter Denton in Mr. Conklin's office. They were cleaning out the files in the closet when Walter came to an old letter from the Board of Education. When he finished reading it, he grabbed Stretch by the shoulder.
Hey, Stretch, read this letter.
Well, let's see. You better read it to me, Walter. I'm saving my eyes for batting practice.
It's addressed to Mr. Darwell when he was principal here. It says, Dear Sir, it has come to the attention of the board that you have been flagrantly dictatorial in your dealings with the faculty as well as the student body. As you know, I approve of discipline, but your conduct lately has been overboard. Therefore, please be advised that if you do not reverse your tyrannical methods at once, I will be forced to convene the board to consider your immediate replacement as principal of Madison High. Sincerely, Edgar T. Stone, Chairman. Do you realize what this means, Stretch?
Yeah, Mr. Darwell better watch his step.
No, Mr. Darwell hasn't been here for years. And Mr. Conklin could never have seen this letter. It was buried under all kinds of junk. Now, all we gotta do is get some glue and reseal the envelope. Luckily, it's just addressed to the principal's office, Madison High. I can type in Mr. Conklin's name above it.
Why should we do that, Walter?
So Mr. Conklin thinks that he's going to get the old heave-ho and start acting like a human being around here. Boy, this will be the rib of all time. Now, get me that typewriter for a minute. Hand me the glue on the desk.
Here, Walter.
There. All set.
Gee, Walter, you got a mind like Machiavelli.
I don't remember assigning two of you to this detail. Oh, and what's that you were about to place on my desk, Denton?
This? Oh, it's just a letter, sir. Yeah, Miss Brooks gave it to me. She didn't have time to open your mail yet, sir, but I'm sure she'll be back in time, and then
Stop blathering and hand me that letter.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I gotta be running along now.
Oh, one moment. I may have some chores for you boys. First, I'll see what the Board of Education has to say. It has come to the attention of the board that you have been flagrantly dictatorial in your dealings with, and also that. Oh.
Bad news, Mr. Conklin?
What? Well, perhaps you boys had better go now.
Yes, sir. Come on, Walter. We'll see you later, Mr. Conklin.
Yes. Maybe? Come in.
I appointed a student teacher to take charge of my study period, Mr. Conklin. Now I can get right to your mail.
One moment, Miss Brooks. Before you sit down,
Yes?
let me dust that chair for you. La 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 la. There, now that's better. Are you sure you'll be comfortable in that chair? I'd be happy to get you a cushion if you want me to.
Huh?
It has always been my warmest desire to take the burdens of my teachers and make them as light as possible. If you have any suggestions which might help me achieve this desire, you have but to mention them, and I am your willing slave. Your wish is my command.
I can't recall rubbing any lamps around here.
Now, just forget that nasty old correspondence of mine. I was just teasing when I said that you'd have to go through all my mail. You toddle out on the grounds and sun yourself for a while. And then when lunchtime comes, meet Mr. Boynton. I know you're fond of him, and have a nice, leisurely luncheon together.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to toddle along now. But first, there's just one question I'd like to ask.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know who you are, but what are you doing with Mr. Conklin's head on? Here's a nice table by the window, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, coming, Miss Brooks. Say, the cafeteria is pretty crowded today. Well, here's your tray. I don't have much of an appetite myself. On my second period, Mr. Conklin came into the lab and brought me a bag of donuts and a bottle of milk. He said anyone who works as diligently as I did needed more nourishment.
That's funny. He insisted that I take a walk around the campus and get some sun.
Well, I wonder what's gotten into the old... What's happened to Mr. Conklin?
Maybe he flipped.
Flipped?
An undergraduate expression. I can't understand this sudden metamorphosis myself.
Well, he started the day off by roaring into my lab like a wounded bull elephant and asked me why my cages weren't ready for the clean-up, paint-up, fix-up campaign. Why I tried to explain that I couldn't possibly paint them because I didn't have any Dutch boy.
Couldn't you have used a brush instead?
Dutch boy is the name of the paint, Miss Brooks. But he wouldn't stand still for any explanation at all, just barked, "Get it done," and stormed out of my office. Then less than an hour later, he was back feeding me donuts.
Well, maybe he's just yellowing with age, mellowing.
Pardon me, Miss Brooks, Mr. Boynton, but could Stretch and I sit down at this table with you for a minute?
I suppose so, Walter.
Always glad to have you boys.
Thanks, Mr. Boynton.
I've got some news for you, Miss Brooks, that will enhance the enjoyment of your lunch 1,000-fold. But it's a deep, dark secret. You and Mr. Boynton have both got to promise you won't breathe a word of this.
Well, I promise. What's the secret, Walter?
Do you promise, Miss Brooks?
Here's a fork. Take some blood.
It's about the letter Mr. Conklin got from the Board of Education, saying he'd be replaced if he didn't stop acting
Fragrantly dictatorial in his methods.
Yeah, to both the faculty and students.
What?
No wonder he's been so sweet to us all day.
But suppose Mr. Conklin finds out the letter's a phony.
A phony?
A phony?
Not so loud. There's nothing phony about this letter. It's perfectly legitimate. Except that it was sent to Mr. Darwell 6 years ago.
Mr. Darwell?
Mr. Conklin's predecessor.
Yeah, Mr. Conklin's. Yeah.
I just typed Mr. Conklin's name on the old envelope, glued it up, and he came in and read it, and voila! A human being instead of a ramrod.
Well, don't look now, but the ex-ramrod is bearing down on us.
Well, I better be leaving now.
No, you don't. We're in this thing together.
Well, I've got to go paint cages.
If you act suspiciously now, we'll all be painting cages. From the inside.
Yeah, just relax. Treat him like an equal. There's nothing he can do about it.
Ah, what a happy sight it is. Teachers and pupils breaking bread together.
Would you care to rip a hunk of toast with us?
Oh, why, thank you. I did want to chat with Miss Brooks for a moment, if I'm not disturbing anything.
Oh, not at all, sir. Please sit down.
Plop over here.
Yeah, flop.
Thank you so much, boys. Miss Brooks, as you know, I am a great believer in the power of meekness and humility. Therefore, in front of your friends, I come in to you hat in hand to seek a favor.
Poor Mr. Conklin.
How the mighty have fallen.
Quiet, boys. What is it you want of me, Mr. Conklin?
Miss Brooks, you have much influence with the student body as well as the faculty. I wonder if you could get them to see me in the same light that you do.
Aren't you in enough trouble already?
I know what you mean, Miss Brooks, and you're right. I have acted the martinet at times, but it's only because of those confounded mottos in my office. On every wall I'm confronted with signs. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Respect through power. Law of the jungle. They goad one, Miss Brooks. Whip one into a frenzy of ambition until the real me is submerged, snowed under, suffocated.
It couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Why don't you get rid of some of those signs, Mr. Conklin?
Well, an excellent idea, Mr. Boynton. Perhaps I could replace them with more humane and genteel parables. I'm open to suggestions on that score as well.
How about I have been a marble-headed monster?
Walter, that's very rude.
On the contrary, Miss Brooks, it has quite a ring to it. In fact, it might come in handy as a reminder.
Oh, but Mr. Conklin.
Oh, please, Miss Brooks.
Well, if you say so, Marblehead.
Music to my ears. I've always been ready to criticize others for their shortcomings. Perhaps if I had a list of my own to refer to each morning, it would help me be more tolerant. Do you think that you could compile one?
It might take months.
Oh, you, Walter Denton. You know, Miss Brooks, I don't believe I've ever mentioned it before, but I love this boy.
I'm sure you do, Mr. Conklin. I can tell by the way the veins stand out in your neck when you say it.
Well, I'm serious about this list of my shortcomings, Miss Brooks. I'll be deeply grateful if you bring a list containing all your complaints to my office as soon as possible. Now remember, Don't try to spare my feelings. Give it to me with both barrels. You'll be helping me in the end.
Mr. Conklin, I can't think of anything I'd rather do with both barrels.
Well, I've cleaned up those old files for you, Daddy.
Oh, thank you, Harriet. You're a dear, sweet girl.
Do you feel all right, Daddy?
As well as could be expected, Harriet.
Let me clean some of this junk off of your desk. You don't need this old letter anymore, do you?
Old letter? What old letter?
This one, from the Board of Education. The envelope is postmarked 1944.
1944? Let's see that. Aha. They must have taken this from Mr. Darwell's files and typed my name on the envelope.
What are you talking about, Daddy?
Harriet, your daddy has been the victim of a monumental hoax, and now the shoe is on the other foot. And believe me, this is the foot that knows how to use it. I want to see them alone. Harriet, please leave by the other door.
I'd rather stay and see what this is all about, Daddy.
I don't care what you'd rather. I'm at the helm of this ship. Go!
Yes, Daddy.
Come in.
We brought the little reminder to your desk, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. Oh, forgive me for not rising. Without my glasses, I didn't notice that a lady had entered the room.
Why don't you watch that fella?
Oh, indeed I will. And now if you'll be kind enough to read me your bill of particulars concerning my various infamies.
Well, we're all going to read some of it, Mr. Conklin. Will you begin, Miss Brooks?
Thank you, Mr. Boynton. Whereas I, Osgood Conklin, principal of Madison High School, desiring to improve relations between myself, the faculty, and the student body, your turn, Walter,
Do promise to keep the following ever before me as a reminder of past sins of which I am heartily ashamed.
And which I ain't never gonna repeat no more.
Splendid, splendid. Please continue.
wait till you hear this. I readily admit that on many occasions I have acted like a pompous, puffed-up, ill-tempered, addle-pated blowhard.
Oh, forgive me, but it seems that you've omitted maladjusted.
Please don't interrupt. That's in the next paragraph. Now, where was I?
Addle-pated blowhard?
Oh, yes, addle-pated blowhard. And on other occasions I have bellowed like a bull,
Screamed like an elephant.
Hissed like a viper.
Snorted like a buffalo.
and otherwise exhibited the behavior of a maladjusted nincompoop.
Oh, there it is. Now, before you go any further, I'd like you all to sign this document for me.
Oh, we already have, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, good. Then perhaps you'd be kind enough to autograph this other manuscript, sent from the Board of Education in this envelope, postmarked 1944, and intended for my unfortunate predecessor, who doubtless had to contend with such perfidious malcontents as you, who stand quaking before me this very moment.
Go for the high ground, boys! The bridge is out!
Nancy Rodriguez as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first,
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
tonight, yes, tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives you K. Dumas's magical blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Better than a soap, better than a liquid, Luster Cream is a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair 3 ways lovelier. Fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen. Soft, manageable. Even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. No special rinse needed after a Luster Cream shampoo. So gentle. Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo.
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl, you owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Having expected a one-way ticket to Devil's Island, I thought the punishment Mr. Conklin meted out was comparatively just. However, it was after 7 o'clock that evening before I got home.
Why, Connie, I was beginning to get worried about you. Where in the world have you been all afternoon?
I was doing a little writing, Mrs. Davis.
Writing? What were you writing?
Oh, I don't think you'd be interested. It's not your type of stuff.
I'm interested in everything you do, Connie. Please tell me all about it.
Well, if you insist, Mrs. Davis, but you'd better sit down. This may take a while.
All right. There. Now, what did you write?
I wrote, "Our principal is the best principal that any school ever had. Our principal is the best principal that any school ever had. Our principal is the best principal that any school ever had. Our principal is the best."
Thanks for tuning in to our Miss Brooks, brought to you by Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair, and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. Our Miss Brooks, starring Nancy Rodriguez, is produced by Debbie Crane, directed by Jim Hunt, with music by Bridget Nault. Mr. Boynton is played by Joe Candra, Mr. Conklin by Chuck Holloman. Others in tonight's cast were Elise Ratchford, Craig Howard, Joy Plater, Debbie Crane, Graham Daly, Paul Rodriguez. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. We would like to give our cast and studio audience a 10 to 15 minute break before we return for another hilarious episode of Our Miss Brooks. Colgate Dental Cream. Where have we heard that before? Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. And Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair. And the Savoyard Light Opera Company, along with support from the Carlisle Cultural Council, bring you another episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Nancy Rodriguez. Now it's time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, under the direction of Jim Hunt. Well, it's always wise to obey the traffic regulations, and our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, has always tried to do so.
Especially since last week, when our beloved principal, Mr. Conklin, instituted another of his Drive Safely campaigns. Friday morning at breakfast, my landlady asked the reason.
What's behind this campaign, Connie?
Oh, same thing as last month, Mrs. Davis. Somebody parked too close to his car and scratched his bumper. And as if that wasn't enough, I got this ticket last Monday, right after he warned us about driving carefully.
But you didn't tell me about it.
I was afraid to mention it. If Mr. Conklin hears about it, I'm a goner.
What kind of a ticket was it, Connie? For illegal parking?
Not exactly. It's for speeding, going through a red light, reckless driving, driving on the sidewalk, and hitting a fruit stand.
Well, my goodness, a person's entitled to a little fun once in a while.
You don't understand, Mrs. Davis. None of it was my fault.
Oh, who was driving?
Nobody.
I know you haven't much money, Connie, but if we sell my Hudson, you can go away for a nice long rest.
I may go away without selling your Hudson. Fortunately, I asked for a trial by jury. I'm sure I can prove my innocence to them.
Oh, I'm sure you can, dear. Now, how about proving it to me?
Of course. I simply ran out of gas, Mrs. Davis, so I parked my car on top of a hill and walked down to get some. Then some idiot tried to squeeze into the parking space behind my car, and in doing so, pushed it hard enough to start it rolling. When it came to a stop against the fruit stand, I ran over to try and back it off the sidewalk. That's when the policeman came over and wrote out this ticket.
But Connie, why didn't you apply the brakes before it hit the fruit stand?
I told you I wasn't in the car.
Oh, well, couldn't you explain that to the policeman?
I did, but he insisted that driving from outside the car is very dangerous. Anyway, he wouldn't listen to reason, and I've got to be in court today at 2 p.m.
But school won't be over at 2 p.m.
For me, it will. My problem now is getting off without Mr. Conklin knowing why. Oh, that's Walter Denton. He's driving me to school today. The mechanic is still picking peaches out of my fan belt.
I'll put up some more toast. Walter always likes to have his second breakfast with us.
Greetings, my most radiant sun in my universe.
Sit down, Walter. I haven't come up yet. What makes you so chipper this morning?
The movie I saw last night, William Bendix and Johnny Holiday. It shows that no matter how underprivileged you are, or that even if you must run afoul of the law, there's still a way out.
You didn't get here a minute too soon.
At first, I was a little brought down after the movie when I took Harriet Conklin home. Now, I wasn't on her porch 5 minutes before her father politely asked me to leave.
Politely?
I jumped down the steps before he could kick me. Well, what's the matter with you this morning, Miss Brooks? You look a little glum.
I am, a little. But I'd rather not discuss it if you don't mind.
Maybe I can help. What's wrong?
I'm afraid it's a secret, Walter.
Hello, Walter. I fixed some cinnamon toast for us.
Aw, swell, Mrs. Davis. And how are you this morning?
I'm fine, thanks, but Miss Brooks could do with a little cheering up. That traffic ticket has her all upset.
Mrs. Davis.
So that's why you're glum. When did you get the ticket, Miss Brooks?
Last Monday, Walter, but I don't want anybody to know about it.
Your secret will never pass my lips. What did you get the ticket for?
Well, according to the policeman who made it out, it's for speeding, going through a red light, reckless driving, driving on the sidewalk, and hitting a fruit stand.
For that, you got a ticket? Wow. They're sure cracking down, aren't they?
It wasn't her fault. She simply parked on the top of a hill to get some gas.
Which I'd run out of. Then, when another car tried to park behind my car, it was pushed and started rolling down the hill.
That's when it went through the red light, up on the sidewalk, and into the fruit stand.
Yeah, but there's one thing I don't understand.
What's that?
Before your car hit the fruit stand, why didn't you put on the brakes?
I had lost them playing canasta. Look, I'll explain the gory details on our way down. Right now, I've got to figure out some way to get out of school so I can appear in court at 2 o'clock.
Well, I've got an idea, Miss Brooks. Why don't you just take the ticket down and show it to Mr. Conklin?
Wonderful, Walter. Then I won't have to go to court at all. He'll hang me in his office.
Well, we seem to have beaten Mr. Conklin to school this morning. His office door's open, and he's not in it.
Well, it's just as well. I'll have another few minutes to think up a good excuse for wanting this afternoon off.
I'll keep you company till he shows up. Come on, let's go in.
All right. Hey, what's this by his desk?
It's a fishing rod. Boy, look at this swell trout fly on the hook. Woo, I'm real good at fly casting. Hey, watch this, Miss Brooks. Look at me. I caught a wastebasket.
That isn't all you'll catch if Mr. Conklin walks in.
It's pretty early for him. I guess old Marblehead, Mr. Conklin, is planning a little fishing trip after school. Oh boy, that's the life.
Yeah, it must be fun at that.
Fun? Here, Miss Brooks, just take this pole. Go ahead, grab a hold.
Like this?
Right. Now, toss the hook at the wastebasket. Go ahead. You won't hurt anything.
Oh, but I've never done anything like this before.
Oh, well, you just throw it back first and then forward. There's nothing to it.
Like this?
Oh, gads!
What was that?
I don't know, but it feels like a whopper.
Don't bother reeling me in. I'll come quietly.
Mr. Conklin.
Well, I gotta be running along now. I just remembered my inkwell needs filling.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Conklin. Here, let me help you get the hook out.
Stand back. If I'm going to be filleted, I'll do it myself. Yo! Ugh. There, it's out.
So are you. There's just a little rip behind the knee of your trousers. I'll sew that up in no time.
Never mind, Miss Brooks. I'll have them repaired and send you the bill.
Oh, good. Mr. Conklin, I know you're not the type of person to hold a grudge.
Oh, I'm not, am I now?
No, sir, you're not, sir. You're not. That's why I'd like to ask you if I might have this afternoon off.
What? Miss Brooks, as much as I need the rest, request denied.
Oh, but it's urgent, sir.
That will be all, Miss Brooks.
But, Mr. Conklin,
Dismissed!
Aye, aye, sir.
Hi, Miss Brooks.
Oh, hello, Harriet.
I haven't seen much of you lately. Where in the world have you been keeping yourself?
Me? I've been fishing.
Fishing? You?
That's right. You should have seen the one that just got off my hook.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Nancy Rodriguez, will continue in just a moment. We hope you're enjoying tonight's performance of Our Miss Brooks, but we'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to some live theater this fall. The Savoyard Light Opera Company is proud to be presenting the musical The Addams Family. Auditions are taking place on June 11th and 12th. If you have the theatrical bug, please go to www.savoyardlightoperacompany.org. Nope, www.savoyardlightopera.org to sign up.
Well, I spent every moment between morning classes trying to devise some way of getting out of school gracefully to make my appointment with the 12 men good and true in traffic court. By lunchtime, I still hadn't thought of anything and could visualize myself as posing for snapshots with my license plate hanging on my chest. However, when I met Mr. Boynton in the school cafeteria, I thought it best to conceal my dilemma. Oh, here's a nice table, Mr. Boynton. Let's sit down here.
All right, Miss Brooks. May I hold your tray?
If that's your best offer, go ahead. I mean, thanks, Mr. Boynton. Your gallantry is quite overwhelming this afternoon. It was very nice of you to pay the check for all this food.
Oh, don't mention it, Miss Brooks. With that tray in your hand, I realized you'd have difficulty reaching into your purse.
That was very thoughtful.
You can give me back the 50 cents anytime. No hurry about it, Miss Brooks. I know that I like to keep my books straight. You always pay your debts, so why should I worry about it?
Mr. Boynton.
I also know that you're well aware of the fact that I don't make any more money than you do, so it would be rather foolish of me to actually treat for lunches.
Mr. Boynton.
I haven't a qualm in the world about laying out this 50 cents. I know I will get it back, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even this week, but I know that someday, some way. Thanks.
You're welcome, Sporty. Now, let's dig in,
Oh, fine. I'm happy to see that your traffic ticket hasn't spoiled your appetite.
No, I don't believe in letting... How did you know about my traffic ticket?
Walter Denton told me about it. I teach him third-term biology, you know.
Somebody should teach him to keep his mouth closed. He promised me he wouldn't mention it.
Oh, he told me he wasn't supposed to tell me before he told me.
Oh, that's different.
You shouldn't brood about a traffic ticket, Miss Brooks, especially since you're completely innocent. There's just one thing I can't figure out about that accident, though. It's why didn't you slam on the brakes before you hit the fruit stand?
Mr. Boynton, it's faith such as yours that gives me the courage to stand up and quit. Trust me, if I have half as much trouble with that...
Hi, Miss Brooks. Mr. Boynton, you mind if I join you? The cafeteria is filled to Kappa City.
Kappa City, mighty pretty country up there. Sit down, Stretch.
How's the old pitching arm, Snodgrass? You think we'll beat Clay City this year?
Oh, I sure hope so, Mr. Boynton. But right now, I'm not too worried about athletics or my personal physicality. It's mentality I'm upset with.
I can't understand it.
It's the final exams. They're coming up soon, and I think I might flunk some of them. In fact, there's only one subject I'm pretty sure I'll unflunk.
What's that?
English, naturally.
My chorus. Now, look, Stretch. The fact that I've been patient with you and tried to help you stay eligible for athletics shouldn't influence you to relax in your study of English, you know.
Oh, I won't, Miss Brooks. From here on in, I'm going to stick my head in my books and bone like mad.
Well, you've certainly got the head for it. There's still a few weeks, though, Stretch, and I'll help you all I can. Now, will you pass the mustard, please?
Here you are, ma'am. Boy, it sure does my heart good to see you eating. I thought for sure your appetite would be shot.
Shot? Why?
Well, Walter Denton told me about your traffic ticket.
You know, this would have been more of a secret if I'd published it in the newspaper.
Miss Brooks is completely innocent, Stretch.
Oh, I know. We all know it's just a bunch of tramped-up charges. When you tell the story in court, Miss Brooks, they'll let you off in a jaffy. There's absolutely nothing to worry about.
Thank you, Counselor.
And remember, all us kids at school love you like our own mothers, so you can be sure you'll keep getting candy and things wherever they send you.
They're not sending her anywhere, Stretch. Miss Brooks is going to go down to court, stand trial, and she'll be back with us in a matter of hours.
Why, certainly, Stretch.
Of course, if something should go wrong, well, is there any little gift or something you'd like to take with you?
Yes, Mr. Boynton, there is. I saw a wonderful doll in Sherry's department store the other day. It's called a Tiny Tears doll.
Oh, I've seen that. She cries real tears when you squeeze her.
Well, lots of dolls do that.
You keep out of this. I always say it's up to the doll and who does the squeezing. But I thought that a doll would be nice company in the cell you two have assigned me.
Oh, gosh, Miss Brooks, I didn't mean it that way. I just...
Hiya, folks. Mind if I join the group?
Well, if it isn't Paul Revere.
Oh, I told Miss Brooks that you told me, Walter.
What? Fine blabbermouth you are. Oh, look, Miss Brooks, I only told the people I thought would want to help you like I do.
Now, I'm sure he meant well, Miss Brooks. We would like to help. We would all like to help you plot some sort of defense.
I appreciate your interest, Mr. Boynton, but my immediate problem isn't the court itself, but how to get there. If you'll all excuse me now, I'm going to primp up a bit and take one more crack at Mr. Conklin.
Oh, certainly, Miss Brooks.
Lots of luck, Miss Brooks.
Yeah, take a crack at him for me, Miss Brooks. See you later.
Thanks for trying to help, boys.
Well, boys, there goes a fine, upstanding young woman.
Those are the best kind.
Well, she won't be upstanding long if she bucks up against Mr. Conklin. Now, we've got to figure out a way we can spring Miss Brooks by 2 o'clock.
Spring her?
Yeah. Get her out of here without Mr. Conklin knowing why. Now, wait a minute. I've got a thought. Suppose one of us were taken ill suddenly. Maybe we could get Mr. Conklin to let Miss Brooks take the stricken party home.
Yeah. Then when they get off the school grounds, she could go to court, and the one who was suddenly taken ill can get suddenly taken well and blow for the day.
I don't think that's a feasible plan, boys, at least as far as I'm concerned. Whenever I tell an untruth, I hiccup. It's psychosomatic.
Yeah, I guess it is.
But, Mr. Boynton, if we don't try my scheme, what will we do?
Well, we'll just have to think further, Walter.
Okay. Well, you heard him, Stretch. Keep that old brain working.
Oh, please, not while I'm eating.
I'm all finished with lunch, Daddy. I just thought I'd stop by your office and see if you wanted something.
No, thank you, Harriet. I'm quite full. I've been eating my heart out. I just received a call that cancels my fishing trip.
What kind of call, Daddy?
I've been called for jury duty.
Can't you get out of it, Daddy?
Harriet, shirking one's civic duty is totally un-American. Jury duty, like voting, is an honor and a privilege and a great American heritage. And I've weaseled out of it twice already. I wouldn't have to be there at all today if there wasn't some stubborn female who insisted on a jury trial for a traffic violation. Oh, she'll get a jury trial, all right.
But, Daddy, when do you have to leave school?
At 1:30, Harriet. And whatever you do, keep my going a secret. The minute anyone knows I'm off the grounds, they start cutting classes. They've got all sorts of excuses, but I know it's the weather. On these lovely days, cutting is a great temptation.
Is that why you were going fishing, Daddy?
Hush, child. Run along to your next class.
Okay, Daddy. See you tonight.
6 months I've been looking forward to casting this rod. Oh, what a beauty you are. Oh, come in. Oh, it's you again. What now, Miss Brooks?
I'd like to go home, Mr. Conklin. I don't feel well.
Well, not 4 hours ago you harpooned me with a fishhook, and now you don't feel well?
I'm not just thinking of myself, sir. It's the students. I might be suffering from something contagious.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks, but I've got to talk to Mr. Conklin.
Oh, what do you want, Denton?
I'd like to go home, Mr. Conklin. I don't feel well.
Well, what do you know, Miss Brooks? Denton's caught your malady already.
Beat it, Walter. I'm working this side of the street. This boy may be telling the truth, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, really, Mr. Conklin? I'm sinking fast. I think Miss Brooks ought to take me home.
I second the motion, Mr. Conklin. He must be sick. He looks terrible.
Yes, he does, but he's not sick.
Oh, sure I am. Look at my tongue.
Roll that up now. Put it back in its holster.
I'd better take him home, Mr. Conklin, before this spreads.
Mr. Conklin,
Yes, what is it, Snodgrass?
I'm sick as a dog.
Oh, fine. It's an epidemic. Dropping like flies, aren't they?
Well, I've got spots before my eyes. I guess it's my appendix.
Do the spots look like your appendix?
Yeah, only bigger.
And would you say they look like my appendix?
Oh, well, I got other things too, like rheumatism and inflagration of the sacroiliac. And,
How about hardening of the arteries?
yeah, I'm sure I got a touch of those.
Amazing improvisation.
Oh, that's been kicking up a lot too lately. Maybe Miss Brooks ought to take me home.
I've already been spoken for, Stretch.
Yes, Florence Nightingale is ministering to the wards today.
Pardon me, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, what do you want, Boynton?
Someone had better take me home, sir. I don't feel very well.
I beg your pardon.
I said, I'm sick.
And what, pray, are you suffering from?
It's only fair to warn you, Mr. Boynton. We've used up appendicitis, rheumatism, and hardening of the arteries.
Oh, now see here, all of you. I know what's behind these shenanigans, and I won't stand for it. There will be no cutting classes at this institution just because a few balmy days have come along. I haven't time now to deliver the lecture that you all so richly deserve. Suffice it to say, I'll deal with this problem later on. Now, return to your classes at once. Dismissed!
Let's go, fellas. Now that was a pretty scene. What'll we do for an encore?
We just wanted to help, Miss Brooks. I guess we got our signals crossed.
Hi, Miss Brooks. I left my purse in. Say, what are you all doing outside Daddy's office?
We were trying to get him to do Miss Brooks a favor.
Well, you picked a pretty poor time to ask him for favors. He's had to cancel his fishing trip so that he can leave school at 1:30. And, oh, dear, I wasn't supposed to mention that.
Harriet, did you say that your daddy's leaving the premises at 1:30?
Yes, but you've got to promise not to let it go any further.
It doesn't have to go any further. Excuse me, kids, but I'm going to take off right now.
Well, good luck, Miss Brooks.
Yeah, all the best to you, Miss Brooks.
Well, I don't know what came up that made our principal cancel his fishing trip, but I'll tell you one thing. I'd hate to buck up against that old marblehead today.
Your Honor, as a firm believer in our American system of justice, I have confidence in the fairness and impartiality of this jury. And if it please the court, I should like to address my remarks directly to them. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
Yes, Miss Brooks?
I wonder how long it takes to become a trustee.
Nancy Rodriguez as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first,
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
tonight? Oh, yes, tonight. Show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives you this magical blend of secret ingredients, plus gentle lanolin. Better than a soap, better than a liquid, Luster Cream is a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair 3 ways lovelier, fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen. Soft, manageable, even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. No special rinse needed after a Luster Cream shampoo. So gentle. Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo.
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, I finally told the whole story of the accident. And largely so he could get out of court in time to go fishing, Mr. Conklin joined the rest of the jury in letting me off with a rather severe fine. That was Friday. The next 2 days were spent in a mad, gay whirl of sorting through those of my personal belongings which would bring the most in a hock shop. But Sunday afternoon, I was determined to relax, so I headed for our front porch.
Hello, Connie dear. Look who I've invited for tea.
Well, it's Walter and Harriet.
Hi, Miss Brooks.
Oh, I'm here too.
Mr. Boynton. Well, this is a surprise.
Hello, Miss Brooks.
Oh, hello, Mr. Conklin.
I think you've been punished enough, my dear. So when Mrs. Davis asked me to tea, I took it as an opportunity to bury the hatchet.
Oops.
I didn't mean literally. I come back here.
I brought my portable radio along. I thought maybe we could hear the ball game while we're having tea.
Not now, Walter. Miss Brooks wants to relax.
Somebody just stopped in front of the house.
Yes, he's coming up to the porch.
Pardon me, folks, but I've lost my road map. Can somebody tell me which way is due west?
Oh, sure. It's on your left. That is if you're driving due north.
Of course, if you're driving due south, then due west is on your right.
Unless you're left-handed. Then you drive straight up.
Just what is your destination, young man?
Well, the auditions for the Savoyard Light Opera Company production of The Addams Family.
See
See you there.
Come on.
Thank you. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. And please email slockproducers@gmail.com for questions about auditions, because a lot of slots have filled up already, which we're very excited about. But please come join us. And I wanted to introduce our director, Jim Hunt, and thank him and thank all of our amazing sound folks. And there's all the special thank yous in the back of your playbill and things like that. So just, Jim, take it away.
Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. We really appreciate you. And I want to especially thank, on top of everything, I want to thank Debbie Crane for producing. She is the most amazing producer ever.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your support.